So I'm pretty sure pretty much everyone and their dad knows about this at this rate, but it's no secret that the Melbourne Demons had a really controversial 2024 off-season, whether that is Clayton Oliver basically making it to the point where it was very obvious and well known that he didn't want to be at the Melbourne Football Club anymore. Again, even going as far as, of course, meeting with Reece Stanley and a couple other Geelong players on Reece Stanley's farm. I mean, I'm not going to lie to him. If I was him, I would probably be taking another look and giving myself a second opinion, especially if the best Geelong can do is give me a meeting at freaking Reece Stanley's farm. Like, not even Patrick Dangerfield's farm. It's Reece Stanley, who I swear to God, the bloke at my local football club who plays ruck and also sings piss time to time could probably beat him in a one-on-one. Again, shout out Reece Stanley. But then there was obviously Christian Petrarca as well, who is reportedly behind the scenes made it pretty well known he didn't want to be at the Melbourne Football Club anymore, and again was potentially trying to see another way where he could be at a different team. Of course, those options didn't come about, and we know Christian Petrarca has still grinded this off-season to get back into his best shape again. There was a picture of him the other day looking like the white Incredible Hulk, so I think it's going to be interesting to see how he goes in 2025. And then there's obviously, outside of all the trade rumors and news, there's the draft that happened recently that saw the Melbourne Demons have we'll start off with the 5th and 9th overall pick and then end off, I think, with the 6th and 10th overall pick once the Levi Ashcroft bid, of course, did come. And again, so on paper, that looks like that was a pretty good thing. But of course, that came with a lot of controversy as well, because they actually traded away their first round pick to get pick number 9 from Essendon. Of course, this follows with controversy considering there are a lot of experts and reporters out there who are tipping Melbourne to not only be bad, but potentially contend for, bottom 4, which would mean that that pick would go to Essendon and be much better than what it was in 2024. But of course, I'm here today to tell you that, everything is going to be all good and everything will be all right. Just like Bob Marley did to our ears so many years ago in the song Three Little Birds. I'm going to be using my majestic voice to tell you guys that what the Melbourne Demons did was pretty good. And I think that everything will be all right for them. And I actually really like what they did in the trade period and draft, to the point where, again, I got to come out here and defend them from any of this negative talk that I'm hearing on the interwebs right now. But again, before we do get into all of this and more, there are still a decent amount of you guys who have not yet subscribed to the channel. So if you could do me a massive favor and leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel. It obviously lets me know you guys enjoy it. But I guess without further ado, let's get straight into it. So obviously the first and foremost thing I want to talk about is the trade that they did with Essendon. They of course sent pick 28, pick 40, 46, 54, 65, and their 2025 first round pick to Essendon, where they were able to receive pick number 9 and a 2025 third round pick. Now look, to defend them in this trade, I think is pretty easy. First of all, when I saw it, I was a little bit naive and I didn't think it was the best trade, but my best friend, who was a Melbourne fan, brought up a ton of points to prove that this was an elite trade for the Demons. First of all, again, the 2024 draft is so much better than the 2025 draft from what we've heard. Again, 2024 is being said to be one of the biggest depth drafts we've ever seen in AFL history, while 2025 is being said early on to be a bit of a weaker draft that we have recently seen. Now look, again, whether or not Melbourne are bad or not, it's left to be seen. Again, I don't think they will be bad. I will probably predict them to finish like 11th, but let's just say for some reason they do finish like 14th, like some of the experts are tipping again, and that means they, of course, are supposed to have pick 5. That pick would now, of course, go to Essendon. So, in saying all of that, pick 5 on paper is better than pick 10, but we got to remember, in most drafts, whoever went at pick 10 would probably go top 5 in the 2025 AFL draft. There's also the point of emphasis on the fact that in 2025, there are a lot of father-sons and a lot of academy players where if a couple players get bid, like a Zeke Hewland, who's projected to go on the top 5, again, academy player to Gold Coast, that pick 5 that Melbourne should have will probably end up sliding down to like pick 7 or pick 8 once all the academy and father-sons are done. So it might only be like a 2-spot drop anyway for Melbourne. And again, they traded for this pick in a way better draft. The other point to remember as well is that they didn't really need draft picks in 2025, because if the season of 2025 goes how we think it will, and those players who requested a trade in the previous season or wanted a trade behind the scenes most likely do it again in 2025, then yes, they're going to get a ton of draft picks from them. For example, if Christian Petrarca still decides he wants to go to a team like Collingwood, Carlton, or Essendon, obviously not Richmond because they absolutely suck doo-doo right now and are probably going to be last for the next couple of years. Again, shout out the Tigers. I miss you, my glorious king, Liam Baker. Come back to me. If Petrarca does go to one of them to, of course, boost his TikTok and Instagram following in a bigger market team like some people are saying he wants to, you're probably going to get a first round pick or 2 back, especially if it is Essendon that he does pick. And again, they're the most likely scenario considering they're looking for star power, looking for, an additional guy to come and help Zach Merritt. You know, Melbourne could easily get back pick 9 from Essendon, whatever it's going to end up being. Again, they're of course 2025 picks, so they could just trade Petrarca to Essendon. Let's just say that is pick 8. They could trade up Petrarca for maybe pick 8 and a future first. Whatever they do, of course, come to agree on. Again, whether or not Petrarca turns back into a beast next year will be left to be seen. Of course, the other one is Clayton Oliver, who we know wanted to be a Geelong Cat. Again, will that still happen? I'm not too sure. His contract is so expensive and he's such an overpay right now, and it's also, the point is, I don't remember the last time Geelong traded away back-to-back firsts. And I don't know if that's even ever happened, and they just traded away their first for Bailey Smith. So going on that narrative, Geelong might not do it and want to take on that cap space. Again, a team like Adelaide, who was previously interested in 2023, will probably be looking to add another star next year and will be looking to take that next step. So if Melbourne want to pay a quarter of his salary, they could easily get back a first round pick by Adelaide next year, which could be top 10 as well. And then there's Cozzy Pickett, who we know has been linked to Fremantle, been linked to Port Adelaide, been linked to, of course, West Coast. Will probably be linked to Adelaide next year as well. That could easily get them another first round pick, and a bloody good first round pick at that. So if we do look at this, and let's just say next year they bring in 3 first round picks for all these players that I've mentioned, right? Whoever goes, it's left to be seen. It'll be interesting to find out, but let's just say they do it. That means in 2023, they will have had 2 firsts. 2024, they will have had 2 firsts and 2 top 10 picks. And 2025, they'll probably have 2 to 3 first round picks as well. So they have set themselves up to be able to not necessarily rebuild, but I think rebuild on the run and build something really interesting right now in Melbourne that could have them winning a flag again in another how many years, especially if these young players like Caleb Winstar and Harvey Langford continue to develop like we think they will. I think they could be very, very close to doing something good again. And look, Harvey Langford, if Petrarca does leave, I think Harvey Langford is the best player that they could have taken to probably replace him. He plays a very similar role, and I think will be a guy who will model his game off Petrarca. And look, he gets a year to play with Petrarca if he does decide to leave. And a year is enough for Petrarca to teach him some of the things he knows and hopefully turn him into a pretty good footy player. And then again, if we look at Xavier Lindsay as well, he could also be a decent player. He was taken at pick 10, I believe, so a little bit higher than what he was probably supposed to. But a guy who will start on the wing for them, could eventually play some more inside midfielder as the time goes, but will be a very good duo with, I think, Caleb Winstar, and I think they're going to work really well together. But again, it's all going to be left to be seen whether or not Melbourne and this rebuild is going to be good or not, or whatever it's going to happen to it. I'd very much like to hear all of your thoughts and opinions on this all down below. Do you guys think the Melbourne Demons did something really good in this trade period and draft, or do you guys think they didn't? Again, subscribe to my IRL/long channels and my gaming channel. Links for them will all be in the description down below. And I guess I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.